So I didn't give you any warning today, but today we're going to explore a little bit of reality, but also a great metaphor for living. Since I live on a tropical island, we had to prepare on Wednesday for the potential typhoon, and fortunately, we were quite lucky. Um, we probably got rooms related to a tropical storm, and it was a lot easier to sleep through the night than it was for me when we got hit more than a month ago. Over a month ago, we had another tropical storm, or actually a typhoon Mangkhut, which hit us, not as bad as it could have been. We all prepared. We had 2 days to prepare. This time we only had one day. So let's go to the literal storm first. And how, and of course, with um, a storm like this and living on a tropical island, can we evacuate? Not really. So it means that we have to find a way to weather the storm. We have to, move through the storm as best as we can. So this is why our homes are built like, you know, a bunker. So very thick walls. We've got very thick shutters that close on the windows, and that really allows us to weather these storms. We of course have to put anything that can become a flying object away, like potted plants, like bicycles, like rubbish bins. So anything like that we have to secure. So what is the preparation like for the storm? How do we prepare? And maybe we just examine how do we put this into movement. I would suggest that, we really want to get into our ground. We really want to find our foundation. So for me to find the foundation, and I will stand up at some point. You'll miss my head since I have the restrictions of working in this space in my living room in this house on a military base. But you want to, as a foundation, you want to really feel into your core, so and really feel that strength into your legs. So I might do something like, core into my distal. So how do I prepare for core? I might go into my distal and then find my way into my core. And I might also just want to firm up my lower body. So my boundaries is my lower body. And then have that freedom to move my upper body. And a lot of the tasks I had to do, which was, moving things and putting them in a more secure place, required that I lift. So I had to be really prepared in my body. And then I had to use a bit of directness. And, sometimes I might use time and sustainment, but I was quite direct, and sometimes I might have some quickness in my movement. There really was, the indirectness in space of seeing, okay, what needs to be gathered and put away, and then that directness of, okay, I need to put this behind the cement block so it doesn't get blown away. So there was really moving from that center. And if you think about what dance forms gives us for this, is if you go back to, belly dancing is one, or even ballet, is there's a lot of that plie, and even African dances, you really find that foundation. So anytime you're going to weather an inner storm or an outer storm, how do we find our foundation? So just take a few minutes to move. I've given you a few suggestions in a way where you find that foundation. Mind your foundation. Because I would suggest that the metaphor of a real storm is going to be a useful metaphor for the totality of our life, because we're going to have many storms that we're going to weather, not just natural disasters, but just even our emotional challenges when we come up against an emotional thing. And when we practice physical storytelling right after the last typhoon, we really discovered that what we needed to move through were the inner and outer storms. So that's my title for today: Inner, Moving, Inner and Outer Storm. Another thing that happened to me in this preparation, so this technically was my second preparation for a typhoon that I've ever done in my whole life, because for the first 2 years on Guam, we didn't have such an experience. We didn't have the warnings, although we were always told, have your kit ready. And I'm a little bit of a, I don't know if I'm just lazy or if I just have a very optimistic thing, as I was imagining, well, you know, will a typhoon happen here while I'm living here? But I did happen to see little portable fans, and I bought the little portable fans. I, of course, had torches. I actually have diving torches, which are great, or diving flashlights. So I have several of those, so I knew I had those. I always have candles, and I always have matches or a lighter, some way to light them. So, you know, there is, and preparing, of course, with tinned food and a can opener and lots of water. So, you know, there are very specific things we were supposed to prepare. So if you live in an environment where you have to prepare for anything physically, so if this is a literal storm or a literal event, you know, what do you keep in your house? You have a special place maybe. I mean, not that I had a special place, but I knew where the fans were. I actually had to get them back from somebody who had borrowed them from the last storm. So I had the fans, I was ready. So that's, you know, one thing. So what happens with inner storms? The other thing that happened is I got very creative in the kitchen. I decided, why not prepare a really lovely meal, because I found an eggplant outside in my plant, and I picked that and said, well, let's see, I have more eggplants. Let's make this lovely little polenta eggplant dish with tomato sauce or, you know, anyway, pasta sauce. So I decided to cook that. I decided to boil some eggs so that there's, you know, just some food that was easily ready in case we did lose power. So I did that, and I got quite creative with music. So later on in this whole broadcast, I'll put on one of the pieces of music I was dancing to around the kitchen. So what happens when we're coming in touch with an inner storm? You know, do we slow down our movements to feel into that? Or are we, you know, kind of moving all over the place, or we need to discharge energy? So maybe with the inner storms, we play with that discharging of the energy, and then we play with, you know, how do we calm it down? Or is it better to be discharging the energy so that we can calm it down and then find our center? So what way do we move into our inner storms? So maybe you have to play with that. Do you like to, you know, discharge that energy, or do you really need to feel your body? So does it help to do a little bit of the tactile pattern to just, you know, feel into your body? And of course, it's going to be different every time, you know, you run into an inner storm, perhaps. Or maybe you have a regular way that you address that inner storm. I mean, if I'm practicing authentic movement, I might slow way down and see, okay, where in the body am I right now? So I might start to find whatever movement sensation is there that wants to move me. And I found after the last typhoon that I really needed to unwind after it, and I didn't realize I was carrying that stress. So when the helicopters took off and were clearly looking for blockages on the road or people who needed help, I really had tears. I was so grateful that, there was help that was going out there, and I realized I hadn't realized I needed to discharge that pent up, built up feeling that I had around, either the fear or the uncertainty of what a storm would do. There's nothing. Gandalf. Pets are always a very useful family member to have with you while you're dealing with both inner and outer storm. So with your inner storm, what is it that you need to return to help you navigate that? I love that word, navigation. I love that whole idea for navigating on the sea. How do we do this? And use our body that way. How to build our body, our container, to be that ship to carry us through the waters. There's a beautiful quote by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who wrote Women Who Run the Wolves, about that we are built for this kind of journey and these kind of storms. We're not built to just sit into a safe harbor. Of course, sometimes we need to be in a safe harbor. So how do we build our container to navigate these inner and outer storms that are going to come our way? So I feel myself in this pushing and pulling movement. So for me, this is feeling the strength, bringing in whatever I might need, and then perhaps pushing away, what's getting in the way, what I don't need to, think about if I'm, or deal with if I'm navigating one of these storms. So it becomes a focal point. So, I've got this direct movement with really pushing through. And it is almost like that, using my arms like oars. So we can be a little bit literal, but we can also be metaphorical. And how does this move through our body? So one of the things I was doing the other day in preparation was listening to Speed Caravan, which was a band I heard at Wilmette quite a few years ago in New Plymouth, and they really got me moving, and I really loved that. So I'm just going to put on a piece of their music, and you can go into whatever movements speak to you. So let me turn on this piece. It's quite lively, but it gets me in my feet and legs. Gets me motivated to move. Oh, and there's some sound in there, so then it gets you connected to your breath. Maybe there's a little discharge of energy. how does this piece of music move you? So after a little bit of energy, find you might still be moving a little bit. Find a way to slowly bring this movement to whatever its natural ending is for now. And if you need to spend more time with this movement or whatever movement is moving in your body, take that time. And remember, continue to nourish yourself. Notice what comes up. Use resources that you have in your home, environment, friends, whatever you need. Because, movement and dance is a great healing tool, and it also is a great way for us to often discover what we might not be thinking about or what we might be avoiding. And it can often bring things to the surface. So make sure that you find what you need. You can always send me a message if you're looking for more support. So this has been my little exploration about storms, typhoons, hurricanes. So moving and paying attention to how do we prepare for our outer storms in our life, and how do we prepare and work with our inner storms? How do we navigate these? So I hope you found some useful bits of information. So I want to thank you for watching. I know I didn't give you any preparation on this, and I hope to do one more live early next week before I head down under to New Zealand for the next 4 weeks. So thank you so much. Many, many dancing and moving blessings.